Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Thinking Crypto channel, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. With me today is Reza Bashash, who's the co-creator of Sologenic and Coreum. Reza, it is great to have you back on the show.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for having me. It's been almost 2 years since we last spoke.
Yeah, and lots of exciting updates. You guys have been working on some great things, obviously Sologenic and then now Coreum. Let's start with Sologenic. Tell us a bit about what's new and the upcoming snapshot and airdrop that's going to be taking place for XRP holders and Solo token holders.
Yeah, absolutely. So the upcoming snapshot is set for December 24th, 8 p.m. UTC time zone. So at that exact time, we're going to take a snapshot of the XRP ledger. And so whomever has positive balances for XRP and Solo will be eligible for the Solo airdrop. In addition, the supporting exchanges will also take a snapshot of their users' balances, and also they claim the Solo through us, and will eventually distribute to the eligible clients.
And those who are doing self-custody and doing the trust lines, the distribution will take place directly to them in January. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So the distribution starts from January 20th. Obviously, it's going to take some time for the whole amount to be distributed to eligible wallets. But before the actual distribution, we're going to put up a website so that users can put their address and see how and when they are going to get the airdrop. So that's one tool that we're going to put up later on. But it starts from January 20th. So plenty of time for people to enjoy the holidays and recover and get that airdrop.
For sure. And I love that idea that you're building that website where people can go check it. That's great. That's great transparency and a great way to leave some of maybe the anxiety people may have of where's my airdrop tokens?
Yeah, for sure. But in the meantime, so exchanges, if an exchange is supporting, users can check with their exchange, and probably they have an FAQ or something published so that they can see what are the eligibility requirements for participating exchanges. But for those who want to see if they have or if they are eligible, they can use any XRP Ledger Explorer available. Like I use BitHome and XRP Scan, and there's xrpl.org. So they can go and type in and paste their XRP address. And so if they have an activated XRP wallet, it's going to show their balance. And it's also going to show them the Solo balance in addition to the XRP balance. So it's important to have a trust line because some users might have acquired Solo through trading without having a trust line. So it's important for those users to open a trust line before the distribution date. On the snapshot, they'll be eligible, but for the distribution, they have to make sure that they have the trust line with the correct limits. And the limits we published is 400 million. I mean, there's never going to be more than 400 million Solo tokens in circulation. So that's why we picked that limit for any address. So they have to basically do that. And with the tool that we're going to publish, I think we're gonna if a user comes and pastes their address, we're going to give them the instructions, and if they haven't done it, so they can do it at a later stage. But to keep in mind, the snapshot date is the date that we take the balances. So users will have time to open the trust line after that to get the airdrop. So if somebody acquires Solo on the 25th or at 8:01 past snapshot date, that is not going to be eligible for the Solo airdrop.
Now, as far as exchanges that are supporting, I think you guys have tweeted out a few like BuyTrue. Are there other exchanges that are going to be supporting the snapshot?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually got a lot of exchanges who are supporting the airdrop. So I got a list here. So we have Binance, who's just recently announced. There's BitThump, um, WazirX, Upbit, Bitrue, GateHub, Black Sea, Probit, HitBitAC, Coinfield, and I think there are a couple of other exchanges that might have announced, and I probably don't have it on my list because that's happening very quickly. Sure. And two exchanges that are going to announce very soon, and we'll announce it through our official Twitter channels, are Uphold, which has been a lot of community requests for Uphold to support the airdrop, and Liquid. So that's something that's going to be announced very soon.
That's exciting. Great to hear these exchanges that are supporting the snapshot and airdrop. Very cool. Now, when users get their respective Solo tokens, what can they do with those tokens? Obviously, they can hold it, they can sell it if they want, or they can trade it, or they could use it on Sologenic's platform with the NFT marketplace and so forth. But I wanted to just go through the different use cases for those folks who may not be familiar with the Solo and Sologenic platform.
Okay, that's a great question. So the team is really working around a lot of different use cases. We have announced a list like the NFT marketplace and other things that you can do with the Solo token in the Sologenic ecosystem. But the idea is the major decision maker for us to release the 200 million Solo was to get more engagement with the community. And with the launch of the NFT marketplace, it's required to burn Solo. So if you're minting NFTs, you have to burn some Solo. You'll know the amount when you're minting, and that amount depends on different factors. And the NFT marketplace, by the way, it's ready and it's being tested as we speak. So that should come very soon. And so we're hoping to distribute all this Solo to get a lot of engagement from the users, so they don't actually have to go and buy a lot of Solo. They can come in and use the Solos that they have acquired through the airdrop and create this ecosystem and use Solo as a utility there. Other than that, we are doing a partnership in collaboration with Binance to release Solo as a BEP20. So that's something, again, we haven't announced yet, but it's coming, and we're working on it very hard to basically do the technical parts, and we're writing the FAQs and things for that. But eventually, people can do staking, they can do smart contracts, they can do a lot of other things that are available on Binance Smart Chain. They can trade it on Binance Chain, Binance Decentralized Exchange, and they can do staking, they can do smart contracts. So the way it's going to work is the portion of the Solo that Binance will receive, along with some portion that will also go from the Sologenic, will basically be locked in the XRP ledger, and they will be issued on Binance Smart Chain. So you have two chains running in parallel, the XRP ledger and the Binance Smart Chain. So Solo will have an ecosystem in there as well, which is very exciting for us. And of course, as you know, we're working on Coreum, the layer one modern, we call it layer one exchange. So while we're working on that, Solo will have other utilities other than just being burnt for the NFTs and other utilities.
That's awesome. That's exciting news. The fact that staking is coming, and like you said, it's running on the Binance Smart Chain. Very cool. I'm sure a lot of folks who are going to be receiving Solo tokens are going to be excited to hear that. As far as the ratio of distribution, I wanted to just get some confirmation or updates on the ratio there for both existing Solo token holders and XRP holders.
For the ratio, we don't really have like a system that gives us like live ratios on what's what has been claimed so far.
Mm.
But we did a test. I think there were about 60 to 70 million Solo that were claimed, and approximately 7+ billion XRP that was claimed through self-custodied wallets and supporting exchanges.
Wow.
So that's actually a very massive contribution. And I've been hearing that people are like, oh, the more exchanges claim, the less we get. But we got to keep in mind that the more participation, the bigger the community, the better, engagement and value of Solo and the whole ecosystem is going to be.
Yeah.
So we got to look at a macro level than just looking at the portions of how much Solo each XRP holder or Solo holders will receive.
For sure.
But the final amount will be obviously published after the snapshot date.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense, because people are still going to be participating until the snapshot, and once that's confirmed, then you can give like that finalized number. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's talk about Quarium. This was interesting, big announcement that you guys released. Tell us about Quarium as a blockchain. What's the mission, the use case, and how is it different from other blockchains?
Yesterday, we announced Coreum. We're really excited. Once we actually announced Coreum, a lot of people were very hyped up and very excited about the announcement. And we had a small portion of the community are like, oh, why is Coreum? What is Coreum? So is your team leaving Solo for Coreum? So there's been a lot of misunderstandings and confusion about Coreum and what it is. So I really like this question, because that gives me the chance to explain what Coreum it really is and what are the connections with Solo and Sologenic. So in a nutshell, Coreum is a layer 1 blockchain, similar to Ethereum, similar to Polka, similar to Solana, similar to Bitcoin. So it's a blockchain by itself. It's not a project that exists in another blockchain. So right now, Sologenic is what we call it as an ecosystem. Solocoin exists on the XRP ledger. So it is dependent on the XRP ledger to for the network to be secure, for the network to keep validating and to exist, so that Solo can exist. The reason that we wanted to basically come up with a new blockchain was we wanted to have a blockchain that was superior to other blockchains and would be capable for the use cases of Solo. In the document we released, we mentioned that there's been a lot of things that, I think the team here sometimes get pretty excited about a lot of things in the mornings, or we just call each other at night and say, hey, you know what's cool? Let's do this and that and that. And then the next day we come at the office and sit down like, okay, so this is not possible because we're limited by the technology. So we'll actually have to keep the growth of Sologenic to the limitations of what's imposed by its current blockchain, which is the XRP ledger. So we're like, okay, so let's take Solo to also run in a parallel chain. So just a very quick clarification. Solo is never going to leave the XRP ledger, and the XRP ledger is the main home for Solo. And most of the decentralized trading, all the applications will be built for the XRP ledger, as well as Coreum in the future. So it's, if you think of it, if you think that Coreum is live today, and if you go to sologenic.org, you can see a decentralized exchange that you have the capability to switch networks. You can operate on the XRP ledger, or you can switch the network and operate on the Coreum blockchain. And so whatever new products, whatever new use case we build for Sologenic will be built for both, given the technologies are there. So for example, we can't really do staking on the XRP ledger because of the lack of smart contracts, but for Coreum, we can. So we built Coreum in order to be able to expand the Sologenic ecosystem. And so we put Sologenic in on the table and said, okay, so these are the things we want to do for Sologenic. And if we go with other like blockchains to get them done, like Ethereum, well, there are these problems with Ethereum. You have high transaction fees. Sometimes you have very long block times. And so the scalability became an issue. And then you have all these other blockchains that each has, something that was kind of a disappointment for us. And we're like, okay, if we go with any blockchain, we have to come up with a whole set of new smart contracts to support these functionalities. But what if there's a blockchain that natively can support the majority of these features? There's already the XRP ledger that supports the centralized exchange as a native built-in functionality, but it's limited to the XRP ledger. We're like, okay, so that's really cool. We want to have a decentralized exchange for Coreum. And so what's the focus here around Sologenic? We're like, okay, so tokenization. We're tokenizing assets, security stocks, ETFs, NFTs, pretty much anything, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, so tokenization needs to be a native functionality of the Coreum blockchain. We don't want to do it through smart contracts because smart contracts are expensive. Smart contracts take time to execute on different blockchains. So if, for example, when you're sending Ethereum, ETH, through the Ethereum blockchain, it's going to cost you less to pay for fees than if you're sending an ERC20, let's say USDT or USDC or any other coin, because these are through smart contracts, and
right.
Execution of smart contracts are more, they require more resources, and they're more expensive in terms of resources and of course running costs. So that functionality had to be built in within the Coreum blockchain. And since we've been doing the tokenization on the simulator for the past 2.5 years, and we know all the required things from the regulatory to use cases to UX, UI, whatever, we're like, okay, so we have a good knowledge of knowing what is required to build a really solid and superior tokenization system on Coreum. And the other things were like, okay, we need interoperability. We need people to send Ethereum to the Coreum blockchain. We need, to support major different blockchains. And so we sat down, looked at different technologies, and we are building Coreum on the Tendermint core, which is an amazing technology that allows, mainly for interoperability between a lot of different blockchains. And Cosmos, for example, is one that's been built using Tendermint. So interoperability is one of the bigger functionalities and features of Coreum. And then we have all other sorts of things with Coreum, like governance, staking, and delegating. And the smart contract functionality is provided through WebAssembly. So WebAssembly is a newer technology than the Ethereum virtual machine, the EVM, which was essentially built for Ethereum by the Ethereum team, obviously. But a lot of different blockchains used EVM as their main engine to process smart contracts. Binance, Smart Chain, and I think every other blockchain is just using it because there's a lot of other smart contracts, and they do it simply for portability of smart contracts. So if you have, for example, a smart contract in one blockchain, you can easily bring it over to another blockchain and expect that smart contract to behave the same way as it was on the other chain. So we came with a WebAssembly because it's better, it's much better, and it has a lot of more support for other programming languages. So you're not limited to a very specific language, or you don't have to write programs in Solidity, or developers are not limited to to what these languages offer, but they can actually build applications, DeFi applications, decentralized applications, anything on the blockchain with any language. So if you're a TypeScript, JavaScript, C++ developer, you can just come in and write a piece of application that can run on WebAssembly. And blockchains like Ethereum are even considering to move to WebAssembly in the future, once that they have figured out about their scalability, once Ethereum 2.0 comes out and the proof of work is completely deprecated and everyone's moved to proof of stake, then they'll eventually move to WebAssembly, or called WASM. So Coreum is very interesting. We think we're solving a lot of problems the other blockchains have.
Sure.
And it's mainly designed to be the infrastructure for projects like Sologenic. So we're building this technology so that Sologenic can expand much faster and better in this technology. And so we're doing it in a way that Solo holders will be the first initial citizens of Coreum. I'm just going to go through how that works, and what I mean by first citizens. So Coreum has a native token called Core. Core tokens, there's going to be 500 million Core tokens in existence when the blockchain is obviously goes to mainnet. Of that amount, 70% of the whole total supply is going to be distributed through airdrops. But the first 30% is going to go to Solo holders. And the Solo holders will decide how to distribute the remaining amount for the community airdrop. So when I'm saying they're the first citizens of Coreum blockchain, I mean, they literally can govern this blockchain with their ideas, with their proposals on how the economy of this blockchain should work. And what's to the benefit of course, Sologenic, and what they think is better for Sologenic. And that allows for other applications, DeFi developers and decentralized gaming and any other platform to come in and build on Sologenic, because we're putting Coreum in a way to be sort of not only for Sologenic, but to be a place, a home for a lot of different applications because of the things we just said. We have a really interesting model for how validation or staking works on Coreum. And basically, we're using a bonded proof of stake mechanism for the consensus protocol. And we'll have a set of validators, 9 to be specific, that rotate every 4 hours. So this committee of 9 validators are validating for 4 hours, and then they change, they rotate after 4 hours, and the new committee will basically start validating. These validators require to have a stake in order to be elected to become a validator. And so either they can come up and put all the stake that they can afford, or they can actually ask regular people who don't have the capabilities to run a validator to come and lend them money for a commission that's on chain, and which these people are called the delegators. They delegate their funds, or they put their funds into these, with these validators. And that's called the bond proof of stake. And so these validators basically keep validating with them. And they are elected according to a couple of different criteria, like behavior, uptime, and amounts or stake they have. Do you have any questions so far, Tony? I've been talking for the past 5 minutes.
No, you did a great job explaining. I was just curious. So the Solo token airdrop that's coming, folks who will be receiving that, whether they're XRP holders or existing Solo token holders, they will be able to participate in the governance you're talking about for the Quarium blockchain and obviously receive the airdrop of the core tokens. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. So it's safe to say an XRP holder will get Solo after the 24th, and subsequently they become a core holder. So if you have XRP, one day next year, you will become a core holder.
Got it. When is the snapshot and distribution for the core airdrop?
So the first and initial snapshots of the core airdrop will be taken from accounts with Solo tokens, and that happens between December 24th of this year, like from the date of the snapshot of XRP and Solo until the year end this year. So so you have about six days that a snapshot will happen at random in this week. So nobody knows, even we don't know when to take the snapshot. So we just, have this code that will take a snapshot randomly from the accounts. And so we use that as a seed to basically distribute the first batch of core tokens in February. So February will be an initial distribution for core tokens. And they actually, the first distribution goes through the XRP ledger. So we're going to set up an IOU and we're going to distribute the core tokens to eligible users. So all they have to do is they have to come open a trust line with the Coreum gateway. And once they do that, they can claim and get the core that they were supposed to receive. And the next year, there will be 12 more snapshots each month at a random date and time.
Oh, wow.
So you don't know the specific time for the snapshot, but we keep taking snapshots, and then a month after we'll distribute. So snapshot distribution until Coreum goes to mainnet, its network. Then at that point in time, the snapshot and distributions happen in the Coreum blockchain. And so we'll set up a coin or a token swap between the two chains. So people who have the IOU can actually come and claim the actual Coreum token in its native blockchain, which is Coreum.
Got it. And I guess at this point, it's not possible to talk about the ratio because it would depend on how many people participate in the snapshot, right?
That's correct. And keep in mind, Tony, we don't want to put values, like we don't want to talk about values a lot here. Like how much is a core token worth? We think that we're producing this utility of the Coreum blockchain, and we want these people who are the Solo community to hold it. And once the time comes, then there will be a pricing, there will be trading, and there will be everything for it. So we don't really have, and I personally don't appreciate for someone to come and just say, hey, how do I get the airdrop? And I want to sell it right after I get it, just because I can earn some money. I mean, that's totally fine. People do it all the time, but we want people to engage in the actual ecosystem and the blockchain and to be there and get incentivized. And that's the whole thing. A successful blockchain economy is all about incentivization. So validators need to be incentivized. Regular users need to be incentivized. Everybody needs to be incentivized for that economy to be successful. Otherwise, there is no reason for a blockchain to exist other than if a company runs its own private blockchain, then of course no incentivization, because the main incentivization would be that company that is running the blockchain privately, let's say food supply chain or whatever, is using that blockchain for their purposes. Yeah.
Got it. The one thing I wanted to ask, and I think you did touch on this with regards to the tokenomics and the supply, and I think you mentioned there's no ICO or no token sale. It's just an airdrop, right?
Yeah, no token sale. the reason we built Coreum is to expand Sologenic's functionality through technology. Mm. Coreum is not a project that is designed to attract investors and funding and to be sold through ICOs or token sales. So that there's like the whole idea is to expand the technology for the Sologenic ecosystem.
Got it. And you touched on the interoperability. So Solo will be able to eventually live on the Quarium blockchain in addition to running parallel on the XRP ledger. Is that correct?
On the XRP ledger and soon on the Binance Smart Chain.
Oh, yeah. Got it. With regards to exchanges, I'm assuming that who may want to participate or will participate eventually, that is a work in progress, similar to how you guys did it with Solo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the nice thing here is that we don't have one snapshot date that is set. So everyone's going to be rushing and there's going to be like, it's crazy. With Solo, we're experiencing this and with just today we got like, I think 10 emails from different exchanges. Hey, we want to support the airdrop. And we're like, okay, so it's a little bit too late perhaps for doing that because the airdrop is just happening. And we need to provide you the technical resources on how to do it. And we just have these documents and we send them and they just announce it. But because the snapshots are taken each month, let's say an exchange starts to participate in May 2022. Their users will start getting the airdrops, from June. And so there is not one date, but multiple dates for snapshots. And that gives time for all these exchanges to come on board, sort of understand the technology, do a proof of concept, and just sort of digest what it is, what Coreum is. And because Coreum is a layer one blockchain, a lot of people are interested on its mechanics and it's what it does for other projects, not only Sologenic, but as a platform. So think about it as an operating system. So you have, for example, your iOS. It has a lot of different capabilities, memory management. You have the App Store, you have the calculator, like it has a lot of capabilities, CPU, RAM, and stuff like that. But an application inside the iOS we call that Sologenic. Sologenic has all these applications. So you have the DEX, you have this and that. But the operating system is what's actually supporting these functionalities and capabilities. So Coreum is that. Sologenic are these applications that are built for iOS. And so if somebody has iOS or an iPhone or a Windows or any operating system, they can essentially download any app they want. So they have all these solo apps and they can download other apps as they like. And anyone can come and build apps for the Coreum blockchain. So it's an open source community-based blockchain that allows for developers to come and develop their own apps. And not only just, we encourage that, we encourage it through incentivization. In fact, we have about 10% designated to incentivize developers who write apps and decentralized apps on the Coreum ecosystem. So you just come in and you're a developer and you would like to write apps, decentralized apps, or DeFi, you get incentivized. So that's a very good portion of the total supply to be given as incentivization for app growth and development growth.
And you mentioned you would be able to stake the core token eventually.
Absolutely. Staking is a native functionality of the Coreum blockchain. You can stake your tokens on Coreum. And that's how it works. Staking is how the network is secured. Staking is incentivizing the validators, and that's how they are securing and keeping up with the network. And one thing I also want to touch, Tony, is about the transaction fees that you have, because I think a lot of people are asking, so what's the difference between Coreum and Ethereum? So are you just guys, having a built-in decentralized exchange and interoperability and staking governance, things like that? But we're like, okay, so there's another big differentiation between Coreum and other blockchains is the transaction fees. So in other blockchains, the more traffic congestion you have, the higher the fees go. Sometimes you can't really use Ethereum. With the Coreum blockchain, this is the other way around. The more traffic you have, the lower the fees you will pay. So this incentivizes activity rather than repelling it or punishing people for using the network during high peaks. So it incentivizes, and we have plans for scaling. And yesterday we had a Twitter space discussion. A lot of good questions came in, and people asked what happens if there are too many transactions, and that's when the network scales. So it's all about scalability as well. So initially you build a system that incentivizes for more usage, and once you reach those limits, which is 10,000 transactions per block or 7,000 transactions per second, then you start scaling that with the same system.
I like that you flipped the model on its head. Obviously, a lot of us have experienced the ridiculous fees and slow times on Ethereum. And I looked at the Coreum website and I saw the comparisons against like Polkadot and Ethereum and even XRP Ledger. Maybe you can talk a bit about the transactions per second, because I noticed that it's pretty high. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So transactions per second are very specific. And when we say transactions per second, not all transactions have the same quality and complexity. So the way blockchains measure transactions per second is that they take the simplest type of transaction and they scale the blockchain and they try to run and simulate as many transactions as possible. So they do kind of a stress test to see how many transactions can go through in 1 second. The same thing for Coreum. So with basic transactions, which are payments, with the current system, can scale up to 10,000 transactions per block. Each block is 1.5 seconds. So that gives us 7,000 transactions per second. And that is scalable still, because as the more the technology grows, you have better CPUs next year through Moore's law, and better computers, better validators in 5-10 years. Then you eventually have all these faster processors and faster validators. And by increasing the specifications and requirements for becoming a validator, you essentially increase the TPS, or transactions per second, on Coreum.
Got it. And as far as, target market, obviously you mentioned the benefits for Solo. Are you looking to position this for institutional investors as well, or institutional builders, and having those folks to come build on Coreum?
Yeah, I mean, Coreum is open for anyone. As long as you like solo holders, you can come on the Coreum blockchain and build. No, regardless if you're an institution, you're a developer, a game, a game company, or a Metaverse system, or you have wrap tokens, anyone. So let's say tomorrow US Tether wants to come into Coreum, or similar as how Solo is just kind of being run in parallel in different blockchains, like Binance Smart Chain. Binance can come to Coreum. So anyone can literally come and eventually build their applications and DeFi systems on Coreum, and initially get incentivized, as I mentioned.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, very exciting. Before we wrap it up, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Is there any other items you'd like to share about Coreum? And is there a target date, like let's say for going live on mainnet?
Yes, we're actually right now we're working on the details of the whole blockchain. We are going to publish a white paper soon. So what we have released is a blueprint. It's like a 25-page blueprint on how things are supposed to be done, and it's more of a proposal paper on the technical capabilities. We've ran a lot of different simulations and configurations, and so this is the current settings that we have. So we're going to be releasing a white paper with a lot more technical details very soon, hopefully next month. And we have a roadmap on the website. So hopefully once everything is moving faster, the holidays are over, the team can work faster and better on the project. We'll probably be looking at a mainnet launch mid next year. And the mainnet will basically be launched with some of the built-in functionalities, and some other extra ones will be added as the network progresses. That's pretty much everything about Coreum. If someone's interested to understand how it works, we have released a short video, very nice short video, and Coreum.com, they can read the blueprint. Some information is there, and we could be reached. We are very active through social media, Telegram, Twitter, and we just answer all the questions the community asks. And we are really excited about the Coreum technology, and we expect everyone to be. And one thing is, we think people kind of had this fear of why did we go with Coreum? Does it mean that we're leaving Sologenic, or we're like backstabbing the community or something? It's just everything we're doing here is to expand Sologenic, and we built this machine, this blockchain, so that Sologenic can expand better and faster. While you'll get to govern it, they will get to govern the blockchain. They will get to have their say, and they will get tokens. And we're not asking for people to invest in Coreum or buy tokens through ICOs or anything. As long as you're a solo holder, you are eligible to be the first to pilot test the whole blockchain and everything. But that's it.
That's awesome. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to participating in that, having solo tokens and being part of the Sologenic airdrop and getting those solo tokens, and getting the core airdrop, and like you said, being part of the governance. So very exciting. And I like what I see so far. So I want to wrap it up with a fun question here. If you could create your own metaverse, what would it be about? What would the theme be?
Well, that's an interesting question. Well, it depends, because when we're talking about a metaverse, I mean, the ultimate metaverse is a metaverse that you can do anything, right? So you can be anything, you can do anything, and everything is possible in that metaverse. But when you're saying a specific flavor of a metaverse, if I was to create and disallow anything else, but other than this, I think well, I love science, and in my free time, I always watch scientific shows and documentaries and all that, and I just randomly go and research on things that I'll never require, like chemistry. I spend 1 week reading things that are not really useful for me. So I think I would probably create a metaverse for people to explore things that interest them. So if I'm interested in, say, chemistry or physics or mathematics or whatever, I can go into this metaverse and I can just see these cool ideas and talk with people who are like-minded and, just hang out. That's pretty much what I think I would build. But I vouch for the version that you can do anything. So
Yeah.
I don't want to limit it.
Awesome. Well, Reza, great chatting with you. And I'm very excited about Quarium. Looking forward to the Sologenic snapshot and airdrop as well. I'll be participating, and I know a lot of folks who are going to be listening and watching this are participating as well. But thank you so much for joining me today and explaining everything that's happening.
Thank you so much, Tony. It's been a pleasure again to speaking with you.